Hi, folks. I'm Jamie Hyles.
I'm Lydia Judy.
And I'm here.
This is Screen Bloody Movies, the podcast where we review a horror movie each week, go over the horror news, and Derek arrives. He's here. How are you guys doing tonight?
Doing good.
Let me turn on my Screen Bloody Movies sign. Was behind the 8 ball today. Missed it up. So you guys doing good?
Doing
I
good.
hope that all of you, both of you, are safe and you are tested after watching tonight's motion picture, because bad things happen if you don't, right?
Right.
So
To the extreme.
we will get into that, but first, let's. Oh no, what do you guys want to do first? You guys want to get into the horror news?
Well, guys, I have a confession to make.
What's that?
I have my makeup done tonight because I did my first TikTok dance video.
You did?
I did the Wednesday dance on my TikTok.
I don't even have TikTok. I'm gonna have to.
Yeah, I don't
download
either,
this now.
But
You
you can
guys-
watch
Check
it
it out.
without having it. Yeah.
You don't have to get it. You don't have to download the app or anything. I have never learned to dance in my life, and this was the one that I chose to dedicate my time to. And I'm a
Nice.
little embarrassed because I'm not a good dancer, but
Lydia,
just
let me
wanted to
tell you
throw it
about
out there.
dancing.
I learned quite a few dances. My main one was the white man overbite. I learned that one. I really rocked that one. I also was really good at the lawnmower, which is just me trying to start a lawnmower and it not working.
Yeah, classic.
That
All
way I
right,
don't
so
have to move. I just do the arm motion.
Yes.
Normally we have story time at the end, but this deserves this because it'll be out of context later. So check this out. The first dance that I ever went to, and it was in junior high school. Like there was this girl I had a crush on for like years.
Is this
And-
the dance where she turns you down? Because you already told this one.
No.
Oh,
Or
okay.
She turned me. She turned. I turned her down.
Yeah,
Like,
that's right. Is this the one where you just said you can't dance and walked away?
Yeah.
Yeah, you've told
Maybe
this
I've
one
already
like 3
all right.
times.
Well, let me just tell you, that was embarrassing. I guess
So-
back.
So we are just a big group of wallflowers, it sounds like.
Yeah.
Yes. I am definitely not a dancer. You know,
Yeah.
I may be a lover, but I ain't no dancer.
Well, and it's like, the dance was so good and like when I get wasted at the bar sometimes, on occasion, not all the time, but on occasion, I dance similarly to how she was dancing. So I was like, I think I got it. I think I can do it. So, but it was way challenging. And
Well, good. We'll share it, the link in the description of this
Yeah,
video, so then you'll see that. I know when I used to try to dance for real at clubs or bars, I would literally just stand there and sway and let her do all the work, and I'm just kind of like,
Yeah.
I'm happy to be here.
yeah,
I got half the work done for me by playing the guitar before I'd go out. So then they're like, oh, he's really cool. It doesn't matter that he can't dance. So I just go, move my feet back and forth.
yeah.
Yeah. Middle school dancing is the best, though, when you just hands on the hip,
Oh
and you rock.
yeah. During the slow dances,
slow dances. Yep.
man, that was my opportunity.
It was. You let it go.
Blew it. I'm
You
pretty
let-
sure my cousin like threatened her life, so maybe I didn't have a chance. It's all right.
Happens to the best of us.
Yep.
So, guys, let's get on to this week's horror news. Because I don't have a lot, but what I have is mighty. I'll just say that.
I feel like that is a that should be on a shirt. I don't have a lot, but what I have is mighty.
Yeah, it should be. It should be. That's the saying of this podcast.
Lydia,
So-
let's make a shirt.
You do it.
Here it goes. You ready? The first
Yep.
bit is Zack Snyder's new film, Rebel Moon, is coming to Netflix on December 22nd. So we have a whole year to wait for it. But it is a sci-fi film. A peaceful colony on the edge of the galaxy is threatened by the armies of a tyrannical regent named Balsaris. Desperate people dispatch a young woman with a mysterious past to seek out warriors from neighboring planets to help them make a stand.
I saw a preview for this, or at least some sort of an announcement.
Yeah, what do you guys think about this? I mean, it's Zack Snyder taking big swings in his own IP, his own original sci-fi.
Sounds cool.
Go for it, Zach.
Yeah, I'm a Snyder fan. I'll stand by that. I'm a Snyder stan, as
Ride
they
that
say.
horse.
Yeah. Not everything he does is great, but I like a majority of Zack Snyder stuff. Snyder Cut Justice League.
I still haven't seen it. I literally was just thinking about it. I'm like, oh, man, I need to watch that. But the decision of like which one to watch first in what order, because I want to see them both. I'm like,
well, you should
tricky.
watch the theatrical cut and see how terrible it is.
Yeah.
Then watch the Snyder Cut, which is a 4-hour epic.
Yeah.
And be like,
Just
wow.
to see the difference.
Yeah.
Because I've gotten different answers from different people. They're like, God, just watch the Zack Snyder one.
Yeah,
don't even worry
that's what
about
you
the
should
other
do. If you're going to only do one, definitely don't. I would not recommend watching the Justice League because it's terrible, right, Derek?
Yeah, it's not good.
Yeah, it's really, really bad. I remember leaving the theater being like,
Really?
Yeah, that was not good.
Okay.
I tried to like it. I bought it when it came out on Blu-ray and watched it, and I'm like, no, it's still really bad. And then the Snyder Cut came out, and I was like, this is one of my favorite superhero movies. So, Derek, this is a piece of news for you. This goes right up your alley. You ready? Terror Vision presents the Blu-ray debut of a movie called Attack of the Killer Refrigerator.
Oh my god.
In the Hook of Woodland Heights.
That might be a little beyond even me. If it was Killer Tomatoes, remake, I could be in.
Well, but, Attack of the Killer Refrigerator, after being defrosted and beaten with a hammer at a college party, a maniacal refrigerator takes revenge on an apartment full of unsuspecting students. One by one, they are savagely murdered by this deadly home appliance.
I love it. It sounds great.
All right, Lydia, you convinced me. That's my next movie that
oh no.
When it comes out.
Did you ever see Rubber?
Yes, that's an interesting one as well.
Did you ever
that's
see
actually
Teeth?
Pretty good.
Yeah, Teeth is good too.
Yeah, Teeth was
Those are
right.
both interesting.
Teeth is interesting, yeah.
Microwave Massacre is the one you got to watch with fucking Frosty the Snowman.
Oh no. Jackie
Mason. He's like, happy birthday, this microwave. I'm killing people with this microwave.
Oh my gosh.
It's awful. Okay. Eli Roth and writer-producer Eli Roth, director Adam McDonald, and star Peyton List have teamed up for a VR slasher movie called Be Mine.
VR slasher movie?
I've been waiting for this to happen. This is the first one I've heard of.
It is a 30-minute VR slasher for Valentine's Day. It's called Eli Roth's Be Mine, a VR slasher. It is dropping on February 10th in Meta Horizon Worlds at 10 p.m. It's currently available to people 18 and up in Canada, the UK, Iceland, and all those on MetaQuest 2 and MetaQuest Pro. So,
I have no idea what you're talking about.
I don't either. It's way over my head.
They're Oculus.
Right.
Yeah. So MetaQuest TV is a thing, apparently. What do you guys think of a VR? First of all, a VR movie, but also a VR slasher movie.
It sounds pretty cool. It sounds pretty cool.
Opportunity is the word that comes to mind.
Yeah.
Could you imagine an immersive, this is down the line, an immersive Friday the 13th
So here's what would
be
make
the
it.
shit.
Yeah, so it would be cool for as a 30-minute thing.
Right.
You cannot. I don't think you could do
For
a,
sure.
Yeah, I don't think you can do a feature-length VR because you can't tell a story because you are in it.
Well, and you'd be sick to your stomach from being in there for so long.
Yeah, and the director's job. I mean, the director's job is to, determine what we see on screen. You can't do that if you have full immersive environment.
Well, like if let's say that you were stationary in a scene where you couldn't like move around. So it's just vision, but you would be in a specific spot and you would be able to look around. So you couldn't go like wander or do anything like
Well,
that.
yeah, you wouldn't be able, but it'd still be the same thing, right? So when we make a movie, we frame a shot. This is what we want the audience to see. With a VR, they can see whatever they want. So it's taking the reins from the director, and it's not giving you a vision. You're muted, by the way.
Getting it out of the way early. No, 30 minutes or a short.
Yeah,
definitely the avenue for something like that. But it's interesting opportunity for sure.
So next we have Matt Reeves talks about the possible Cloverfield sequel. And about the impossibility of so there may be a Cloverfield sequel down the line. What are you guys' thoughts on if there was a new Cloverfield?
So that everything that's come out, is it still canon?
I don't know. We don't really have an answer. In the interview he kind of talks about they had ideas for a sequel. They never ended up doing one in a way, and then Dan created 10 Cloverfield Lane. And they're like, oh, this is a way to do it. Let's explore the tone of this world. But doing a direct sequel was something that they did cook up something, but it never came to fruition. So he's talking about doing an actual direct sequel to Cloverfield. So not like an, flavor kind of thing, which is what like 10 Cloverfield Lane and the Cloverfield Paradox were, right? They're kind of just in similar vein.
I forgot about Cloverfield Paradox. Holy cow.
Is that what it was called? Isn't that what it was called?
Think it was something like that.
Yeah.
Dang,
Yeah,
I need to revisit that.
Yeah, I haven't seen. Yeah, it was the Cloverfield Paradox. So yeah. Also, a few months ago, it was announced that remember that they are making a new Cloverfield movie, but we don't know if it's in canon or if it's like a direct sequel or what have you. Matt Reeves is definitely not involved. He's busy making Batman movies. What are you guys' thoughts on more Cloverfield stories?
I'm down. I really enjoyed the other ones more than I enjoyed the first one, I think. So
I think 10 Cloverfield Lane is my favorite of all of them.
I agree. I liked the Cloverfield Paradox, but I don't think that you could, do another first person type film.
Yeah. So did you like the first one? Is that what you're saying?
I did. I enjoyed the first one. It was okay. I liked the 10 Cloverfield Lane the best.
Yeah.
I would think.
So you just don't know about the found footage.
I don't know that you could do that again, and I don't know that they would. But
I mean, it is kind of. Yeah.
I feel like that was the complaint that everyone had about it.
Yeah, because you couldn't see the monster, right? And then
in the shaky cam.
And then the 2010 Godzilla, whatever that year that was, the new Godzilla didn't show Godzilla all that much either. So then Godzilla King of the Monsters, that boy's on screen all the time. Like, yeah, we pay to see Godzilla. You see, that's why his name's in the title. All right, this news. We are getting more casting news on A Quiet Place Day One. Remember, we spoke about this a few episodes back, that they're making a prequel to A Quiet Place, the Day One. Alex Wolff from Hereditary has joined the cast, who is the lead in Hereditary. It also stars a bunch of Joseph Quinn from Stranger Things is also in it. But we know it's based off an original idea by John Krasinski, and it was written by the original writers. What do you guys think? Derek, you've not seen any of these, have you?
No, actually, I have not.
Lydia,
scenes of it, but no.
you saw the first one, right? Did you see the second one?
Right. No, I still haven't seen the second one. I keep seeing it on my list and I'm like, I need to watch that. But the first one was so stressful for me.
It is a very stressful movie.
You have to be like in the right mindset to sit down and watch something like that.
Yeah, I agree. It's definitely a an acquired. You have to be like in the mood and the mindset for that one.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm excited to see this world. I also haven't watched the sequel, and I need to. I just haven't got around to it. Same as you guys, we have this list of other movies that we have to watch. I just haven't got around to it yet. And then finally, you guys, I'm glad you're sitting down because it broke on Friday that Sean S. Cunningham is developing a Friday the 13th reboot, a theatrical film, a theatrical reboot. And also a reboot of House. Derek, you love House.
Oh yeah. My first mind went to like the Hugh Laurie TV show.
Not the Hugh Laurie TV
That's
show.
where my mind.
And
No,
then I was
movie.
like, nope, that's not what he's talking about.
The Steve Miner directed horror movie. Yeah.
Yeah. And so they're still moving forward with the TV
Crystal
show,
Lake
right?
is happening, and it has all the rights. And it seems like they got the rights worked out for this too, because it's a Jason movie. Jeremy and I pitched our dream Friday the 13th with Sean's blessing. We're hoping the surrounding excitement will inspire both sides to come together and give us Jason on the big screen again for the first time in 14 years. But we have a plan B for a sequel to the original we think fans will absolutely love, should any legal attainments. So, thoughts? It's been 14 years, right?
Yes.
We're excited for this Crystal Lake show because we're going to get to see Jason, hopefully.
Yes.
But
my only thought
Yeah.
is just don't fuck it up. Please don't fuck it
No,
up.
just give us a Jason movie. Just give us a Jason movie.
Yeah.
It's the easiest thing in the world to do, guys. You write a bunch of teenagers going to the lake, and then Jason fucking kills them.
Yes. It's so simple.
Yeah.
Make a couple of them likable, the rest of them,
Yeah.
I
Make
like
the rest of them unlikable.
boobies. You're good to go.
I personally liked the reboot that they tried to do in 2000.
Yeah, the Platinum Dunes. I didn't hate it either. I thought it was good.
Yeah, it was okay.
Some people don't like it, but I mean, we'll get into it when we get to those Friday movies. But I mean, yeah, are some of the sequels better than others? Yes. But you know what's worse than all of it? Not getting any sequels for a decade and a half, right?
Mhm.
Right.
I'll take fucking Jason Goes to Hell again. Well, maybe not. Maybe not Jason Goes to Hell. I'll take Jason in Space, Jason X, any day of the week.
Yeah, because Jason was barely in that movie too. The Jason Goes to Hell.
Yeah, we'll get into Jason Goes to Hell one day because, I mean, we have a lot of movies to go through to get there. But when we get there, there'll be a lot to talk about. For sure. And that wraps up this week's edition of the Horror News. Oh, you guys excited about the possibility of Jason returning?
Yep.
Yep. Don't all speak at once.
Not at all. Not at all excited. for that.
Not at all. Hate it. Hate the thought of seeing my hockey masked friend on the big screen.
No, dude, I like some Jason. Some good
Yeah,
stuff.
I mean, it is kind of crazy. Like, if we stop and think about it, like we had we had Halloween. We had the Rob Zombie Halloween movies during that stretch, and then we had the Friday the 13th reboot and the Nightmare on Elm Street reboot, which were the Nightmare on Elm Street one is just trash, and we'll talk about it one day. But since the Blumhouse resurgence of Halloween, starting with David Gordon Green's Halloween and then through to Halloween Ends, those movies made hundreds of millions of dollars at the box office. Like they were the first one made like I think nearly $300 million at the box office.
They're kind of a big deal.
Yeah, and it's just strange to me that they haven't put the legal entanglements aside and said, let's strike while the iron is hot, you know?
Well, and the absolute hardest property out of all the ones that you just mentioned is Freddy, and that's because with Jason and Michael, you could throw anybody in there.
Well,
Right.
I'm not
Size
anybody
and-
for the shape, but you can get away with more.
Right.
Yeah, you really
You
have
can-
a hard time
Yeah.
redefining a character as iconic as Freddy just because the actor is the character.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
it's,
yeah,
Mhm.
it's definitely a different beast. It's not the same. You don't have a guy just in an emotionless mask. You know, Freddy's mask is Robert Englund's face. So it's not only his voice and his mannerisms, but it's his actual face. So that's what we fell in love with. So it's going to be hard to replace that. But, you know, I want to see Freddy live. So we're going to have to at least give it a try, right?
yeah, we need to finish our pitch,
Yep, we do.
copyright that, and send it in, and be like, "Let's make this, bitches."
And then they're like, who do you see as Freddy? And we're going to say, Tom Atkins.
Like, wait a minute. Who are
All
these
right.
guys?
You guys lost me.
Like we said, Kevin Bacon.
Yes.
Hugh Laurie, since we mentioned him earlier. We just name any actor that we could think of.
Any actor. Just anyone.
It's like, ooh, I got it. Daniel Craig. It's like, what? What the fuck are you talking? Think about it. Bond as Freddy.
No, even better. Daniel Radcliffe as
Oh,
Freddy.
there you go. There you go. Unstoppable movie pitch. I think is the Craven Estate listening?
Keep
We
getting
got
bigger and bigger.
But for real, like, I don't want to completely sidetrack this, but who would you seriously put up in consideration if you had to pick somebody that's not Robert?
well, here's the thing. I don't think their pick in the remake was a bad pick.
Yeah.
I don't think
I
Jackie
hate
Earle
everyone
Haley
to take it.
is a bad pick. I think the directing and the script definitely let him down, but I think the directing and the choices he made were bad. But on paper, that's not a bad choice.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
you know,
think-
maybe on paper, I didn't
Yeah.
think his performance was that.
No, his
bad.
performance is bad in the movie, but that's what I'm saying. When they announced him as Freddy, I was like, yeah, I could see that. That's not a bad swing.
Right.
Now, I don't know. Who would you pick?
I personally think that I would pick someone who was unknown.
You'd have to. Yeah. You'd have to. You have to pick
Was
somebody.
associated with a different role.
Yeah, somebody young. I'd say somebody young, somebody in their 30s. You know, an actor, not a stuntman. It needs to be an actor.
Right. With like a similar build,
Yeah.
similar personality traits kind of thing.
Yeah, like
I mean, not that you could,
you
get
can take it in a
exact
new
or anything, but
direction. You
Yeah.
can do what you want, but the fundamentals need to be
build.
there.
Yeah.
He needs to not be 6 foot tall,
Right.
a lumbering giant. He needs to be about 5'6", 5'7".
Yeah. We can't
wiry.
put Bill Skarsgård in there, something like
No. He's too tall.
way
He's
too tall.
But you could put Bill Skarsgård on his knees.
We'll shrink him in
In
CG.
post. This is good. This is a good casting session, I think.
All right, we're getting somewhere.
Yes, I think we're almost there.
I
So if
think
it's
Daniel
not
Radcliffe is top for me.
Daniel Radcliffe,
No, I don't
He's-
think he can do it.
Daniel
too short?
Day-Lewis. He's
Gary
on,
Oldman.
he's on set and he's like, no, call me Freddy. Freddy,
Brad
it's time
Pitt.
to come to the set. Oh man, that's good. That's good stuff.
Too much.
All right, guys, let's get into tonight's movie. So, neither of you have seen this, right?
Right.
This is
Not
a first
until
watch
last
for both,
Yep.
and you had no idea what to expect, right?
Right.
Nope.
Good. This is actually my second watch. I picked this movie. I watched it over the Friday the 13th weekend that it came out. I watched it, felt a way about it, and was like, I've got to have you guys watch it because we got to talk about this thing. It's a big studio slasher. uh, on Peacock. Let's check it out. And so none of us knew about this movie before. It was announced, remember, close to when it was coming out. So it was like a thing where they're like, oh, by the way, this Friday the 13th, Kevin Williamson's new slasher movie is hitting. And we were all like, what? All right. So I didn't know what to expect, just like you guys. I went in with just, let's see what we have. And I was given all the slasher goodness. So let's talk about Sick. This is going to be a sick review, guys.
It will. Indeed.
Too easy. Too easy. The jokes write themselves.
To kick this off, if you were to tell me, so spoilers galore for this.
Well, yeah. This movie, we're going to put a spoiler warning at the very beginning of this one because this is such a brand new movie. We're not doing one of the 35-year-old or 40-year-old, sometimes 80-year-old movie reviews. We're doing a brand new 2023 flick. So spoilers for sure.
Yeah, and I don't want to get too ahead of myself, but man, if you were going to do a movie that is has the atmosphere of a pandemic and you incorporate a slasher killer, I was kind of blown away at the end of it when the motivation,
the reveal,
was revealed, and I'm like, what the?
Yeah.
It's almost so obvious that
it is obvious.
Damn it.
Yeah.
It is. When I rewatched it the
obvious.
second time, I was like, oh yeah, all these things track for sure.
Yeah.
I could see them, and I can see the hints they were dropping throughout. But you're engrossed in the story of it, these characters and their little journey. You're just kind of like, all right, sure, I'm along for the ride.
Like I totally thought it was so I didn't catch at the beginning, obviously, that there were multiple killers, but
no,
I was like, man, this has got to be like a frat kid that's just gone crazy or something like that. Or
here's the thing, I thought there were multiple killers just because Kevin Williamson wrote it.
I was like, I immediately was like, there's two killers.
Yeah,
who are the kills? Everyone was a suspect. Literally the first murder, the first death, I was like, I'm still suspicious of that guy.
I think that guy is still alive. Even though we saw his throat slit.
Yeah.
So let's actually talk about that opening scene. What do you guys think of this opener? Because I think it bangs.
It does.
It's very Scream-like. So it had me on edge.
Yeah.
Because you guys know how I feel about Scream.
That's true. Yeah.
Man, really, the only critique that I have, because it was really great. So we want to.
Yeah,
so this guy's going shopping. Obviously, it's a pandemic, and people are
Also, did you guys have PTSD when it was showing the grocery store, the masks and the cleaning off the stuff?
The lady who coughed,
really did.
Everybody looked at her because that was one of my biggest fears. Whenever I would go into, I'm a flimmy person. People who watch this podcast know.
So it's very well documented.
Right, so I go into a grocery store. I could be the healthiest, that I've been in 10 years, and I'm over there.
Yeah, you better not cough in public. It was so scary.
Yeah, and especially when they said it, I think it's actually good. It's very effective of when they said it, really early in the pandemic, right at the beginning. March.
And
April,
we all remember how much confusion there was about what was going on.
Yeah, I just didn't leave my house, Yeah.
Yeah. Because you're like, I don't even know if I should wipe down my stuff or, my groceries.
Oh, he totally
did.
Oh, yeah.
I never went that far, but he got back to his place and he's disinfecting the boxes.
Yeah.
I did fruits, not actually with the cleaner. I did it with a rag and stuff.
I mean, early on, I thought about doing supplements in the morning of bleach and Windex.
Oh yeah, to clean myself. It's a great way if you just shine sun right up your butthole. Killed it.
But and so when he gets back to his apartment, and so he started getting text messages.
So the texts are cool, right? The way that they start off.
Yeah,
and it's It's Kevin Williamson, moving on from the phone call. Hello, Sydney. It's hi, Tyler.
Evolution, baby.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then he takes a picture of his butt.
Yeah,
sends
yeah.
it to him. So he's already on edge, and he gets back to his place, and he goes in and realizes the door's open.
Yeah.
Yeah, the only critique that I have, because this is a great like back and forth cat and mouse type thing, and the only critique I have is whenever I finally like got into that room and I locked the door and
you wouldn't leave.
I wouldn't leave.
But
even if I had a baseball bat.
He's a college kid, thinks that he can take on the world, has his baseball bat. Yeah, I wouldn't have left either. I would have been.
When you say that is college kids.
Yep, college kid. Yeah, I love the actual chase is really well done. I especially like when he turns off the TV and he sees him in the reflection. He flips out the knife. It's good stuff.
I was thinking of you guys when I was watching this like fight choreography. And then he hits the door and the glass breaks, and I just remember in your guys's
when we made Secret Admirer. Yeah.
Yes, and I was just like, man, we wanted to break that glass so bad.
Yeah, we did. I was like, but it's my real glass.
Sarah will definitely not approve.
She will not approve, and my wallet won't either when I have to fix it.
Right.
Yo, I loved it. I loved the actual chase itself. I loved the end of it's really good too. How he comes out and the camera pans down to we see like somebody had went down, and then he just when the camera pans, it doesn't give us the scare where he's standing behind him. It's like immediate. He turns around, his throat slit, and we're in. Great opening kill scene. I was in immediately. I was in. I was like, I'm going along for this ride. I'll go along with this ride. Then we're introduced to our two leads, Parker and Miri. What do you guys think of Parker and Miri in their relationship?
I think they're interesting. They seem like pretty average college girls, like one's a little bit more on track than the other, like whatever,
right.
They're friends. Seems like just probably relatable to a lot of college kids around that time,
I agree.
And this is not a knock on the movie. I actually think it adds a bit of realism, but like, they look like they would just be college people. They don't look like they would be, Paris Hilton,
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think that adds to the realism of
the costumes, costumes they put them in, everything is like, they just seem like college students, and their performances add to it as well.
Yeah.
So what's really cool about this movie is it almost doesn't have a second act. We have the first act setting up, then the third act where it's mayhem. We don't have that second act really. And that's it's kind of cool because it just goes by and it's, in your face.
It's kind of cool, but then like you have this period of like, the story does move along.
Well,
it's a little slow.
Well,
it's like the second act is really action packed. It doesn't mess around.
Yeah, that's all still first act stuff, Derek. Building all that stuff is all first act.
Well, I know, but that's what I'm saying. Like,
it's a slow burn at first, and then once it starts, it starts. So, I've got to say this: the first time I watched it, I noted it, and the second time I noted it again. This cabin that they go to is fucking amazing.
It's insane.
Yeah.
Gorgeous.
It's sick.
Actually, she says that when she goes in.
Yeah, she does.
This is sick.
She's like, it's disgusting, which is something I say a lot.
Yeah, she does. It is. It's gorgeous. Like the whole silhouette of it, the way it's lit, the interior is just like. I was like, my God, I wish my parents had that fucking cabin. I'd be spending my time up there too.
I
couldn't help but wonder, like, how, like, what, like, whose house is that? Is this like a timeshare? Did they rent this? Like,
no, it's she says it's her dad's cabin.
But I mean, like in real life. In real life, yeah. Like, how did they get to film in a house like that?
Are you asking if we could stay in it? Is that what you're trying to get?
Yeah, can we go there?
For an hour, we could probably afford an hour.
yeah, just to walk around it. But that'd be good enough, I guess.
I just wonder.
By the hour.
That has to be like somebody's house.
Yeah,
out there.
Yeah.
Like that's crazy.
Just such a gorgeous location. Plus, it's in the middle. We're in the middle of nowhere. They established that the nearest neighbor's 2 miles away, so we get all of that kind of setup. And then she starts getting texts. And instead of like being like, it's very realistic because she immediately shows Mary. She's like, hey, Mary, look at these texts. And she's like, that's fucking weird, Parker. And I'll block him. Done. Doesn't think about him again, which is what we would do in real life. Like,
no, we wouldn't. No, we wouldn't. I would totally play with them.
Well, yeah, maybe us, but
I wouldn't.
Normal people.
I'd be like, stop.
Well, you would try to get them to play Name My Name.
Yeah.
But they already know it. They already know it, so you'd lose.
Well, I just have to think of a different game to play.
Yeah.
Or maybe I would you like to play a game?
You turn into Jigsaw randomly? Okay.
Yeah.
But so we get their dynamic. We see that Parker is, like you said, Lydia, more like of the free spirit, more of the kind of not taking this pandemic as seriously. We have Miri, who is a medical student.
Mm-hmm.
So she is taking it very seriously. And that medical background comes in play later in the movie.
Oh my gosh.
And so it's really funny. They're at the apartment. They're doing a drinking game.
Yeah.
Or at the cabin. They're doing a drinking game of the news. Every time that somebody mentions Dr. Fauci's name, they take a shot.
Yep.
Which is pretty funny. And then this random strange car shows up. What do you guys think of this scene? Lydia, I know you were on the edge of your seat, right?
I was like, hell no. Somebody just showed up. That's like, yeah. I mean, like, I've been in this situation as a girl where you're like, okay, get the knife. Someone's here. Like, yeah. I don't know who this is. I'm on it. Like, we're trained. We're pretty much trained to think that way by media shows and in general, news.
You should if just random people are showing up uninvited. But Derek, what did you think of this scene?
I knew it was going to be a misdirect in some way. It was still suspenseful, and I don't know how you don't come up with some sort of way to notify that you're there, because the reveal is that it's this guy that Parker's been trying to. Like, you
don't come up with a way, because that would kill the suspense of the scene. It's
I know.
There you go. Just go with it.
But in my mind, I'm like, man, I mean, I would definitely let them know.
Put him on mute. Hey, it's me. But
yeah, but
he's also kind of selfish too.
He totally is selfish, but he in the situation, he does have kind of an out, because he's on the phone, like a job interview. It sounded like, or he's pitching
internship interview.
Yeah. So, I mean, he's got a legit reason. But anyway, it's this guy that Parker's, trying to decide what she is.
Yeah. And his name is DJ. So we're introduced to DJ, who is Parker's basically boyfriend, but not boyfriend. He's kind of like a guy friend.
They're not Facebook official.
Right.
But
so
they're friends with benefits.
Yes. And so there's a whole stink about earlier in dialogue, we find out that she had mentioned somebody named Benji, and that they were at a party, and then he ghosted her. And so really, we're kind of led to believe that Benji is who was killed in the opening, except that we see his name is Tyler, if you pay attention. But you're probably not, so you're like, oh, that's probably Benji.
Yep,
that's what I thought, yeah.
Yep. So you're like, oh, crazy ex-girlfriend's probably the motive. Because we know that both of the girls had posted that they were going to the lake. So that's how DJ knew they were there.
Mm-hmm.
And she had posted the Instagram of her and Benji making out. It was posted by a bunch of her friends. So they have like this whole fun scene, basically, with all of them bonding. We have like a little dance scene and stuff like this.
Dude, that dance scene was hilarious.
What'd you think of this little section, Lydia, where we're kind of getting to know DJ and all their dynamic?
I like it. I like DJ, actually. I mean, he's maybe not like the, best, greatest guy in the world, but like
he's very sincere. He's very sincere.
Something, he's special for sure.
Yeah, and he really does care about her. He does love Parker.
He definitely seems to care.
Yeah, so that dance scene, Derek, you love that?
I just thought it was hilarious because the other girl, I forget
Miri,
Miri is like
Spraying.
spraying her stuff around and
You
Wearing
would
her
not
mask.
be able to breathe in there.
Yeah,
not
but
only
they're all
that,
high, so they don't
yeah.
care.
Yeah,
there's a
they're
definite continuity
wasted.
issue, and it really threw me off, man.
What's
So DJ in like, so you can tell that they shot this from different angles, but like in some of them he's wearing a hood, and some of them he's not, and it keeps rotating back and forth. And every time it did, I was like, no.
Well, that's because you're thinking of it as linear. It's not linear. It's just time jumping all around.
Yeah, it's just drunk memory.
Yeah,
definitely continuity issue.
I don't think it is. I really don't. I think it's just,
It
time
got me.
jumping. Yeah.
But it was really fun because she had mentioned because they were upstairs and they were in the reefer, and I don't smoke marijuana, so I'm like the most uncool person that brings that up.
You and Sarah are all
You
about
and
the
Sarah.
doobies.
The marijuana. The marijuana. Anyway,
Jamie, I was just thinking about that. I was listening to Conan's podcast and he said doobie, and I was like, it must be a redhead thing or something.
It's a ginger word, doobie.
So
Sarah's
old-fashioned.
always like, so where do people buy doobies? Oh, I love it.
that's hilarious.
But yeah, they end up. I think it's really funny that when they're all laying in the couch, in the living room, and he starts telling his like story that's from his aunt's sisters.
Oh gosh.
Oh my god.
That whole thing, and then he tells a story about the snake baby.
Yeah.
That's fucking hilarious to me.
That's so funny. I would be mad. I would be like her reaction is like, that's disgusting. Like, why are you saying that right now? Like, that would totally be my reaction to that.
I just love Miri's like, no, man, that didn't happen. That's not anatomically possible. Yeah, because you see, snakes are attracted to milk. And the baby was drinking milk.
She's like, my aunt's a Christian, and she would never lie.
That line.
That was great.
Yeah. Once again, Miri's brain has ruined the fun.
Mm-hmm.
So they all go to bed. They all go their separate ways. Well, first, Parker and him have a heart-to-heart. We find out about the video of her making out with this guy. She says his name's Benji. He kisses her. She says, we're not going to be a couple. This is not what this is going to be, kind of thing. Shoots him down, unfortunately. And so he was like, fine, that's fine. There's also a really funny throwaway line when he says pancakes in the morning, and she says, this fool thinks he's getting pancakes in the morning as she's walking away from Miri. Yeah. I laugh every time. Really good. So everybody goes to bed. DJ goes outside to grab something from his car. And when he does, we see the killer sneak in.
The ninja.
Yeah. And then there's some great shots of him inside the house. Like the one shot where they're in the where she's talking to Miri in the hallway, and we see him behind her.
Mm-hmm.
That's a great bit. Because
I love it.
She comes back, and then when she goes back, he's gone. And then when we see him sneak up the stairs.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then she goes up the same stairs. I was like, oh.
Like he was there the whole time. Every scene, he's like right there, just like waiting and watching. It's so spooky.
Yeah, it's good. And so he ends up stealing all of their phones while they're asleep.
Which
taking
is
their phones.
Smart.
Yeah, very smart.
For a killer.
Takes all their phones, and then DJ hears something. And then this music starts blaring. So, of course, it wakes Parker up, and she goes to investigate. And DJ... And at this point, were either of you suspicious of DJ?
Yep, I was.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, I was suspicious of everyone. I was like, the main characters are probably killers. Like, I don't even know.
So, Lydia, I just envision you standing in your living room with Jake going like, everybody's a suspect.
Yes, literally what I was doing. Like, I'm not even kidding. I was like, it's everyone. Everyone's a suspect. Like, I thought it was the girl. I thought it was
Miri?
no, not Mary.
Oh, you thought it was Parker?
I thought it was Parker for a minute.
thought
I was like, it's Parker. I know it is. She's so careless and like setting this whole thing up.
It ran across my mind.
So, yeah, so they do a good job of misdirecting DJ here because you're kind of like suspicious if he's in on it because the way he, quiets her down, he's like, there's somebody here. And we could it's called the Billy Loomis effect.
Exactly.
Because in these movies, you just don't trust anybody because Billy Loomis, you're immediately like, he's the killer. And then
ruined it for us.
Yeah, you're like, he's the killer. And then the fake kill happens and you're like, maybe he's not the killer. Maybe he was trying to be a good guy.
Yeah.
And then he fucks us and we're like, damn you, Loomis.
Yes. He really messed us all up as a society.
He did. So you're immediately suspicious of him. And when he tells her to go out the window, you're just half expecting something to happen.
Mm-hmm.
But instead, she goes out and she sees the killer about to attack Miri. And he stabs at her, misses. And he and DJ get into a fight. What do you guys think of this DJ fight scene?
It's good.
It's a banger. Yeah.
It's really good. Yeah, he's kicking ass. You're like, thank God this guy can actually fight a little bit.
Yeah, he made a vital mistake after he knocked him over with the antlers.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
He should have either stabbed him with it, or he should have just, as soon as he smacked him with the antlers, ran off, and they would have made it to the car.
That's exactly what he should have done. Yeah.
Yeah, but he tries to kick him. It's really funny. He says, "Fuck you, dude." And tries to kick him. It gets a knife to the leg for his troubles.
Yeah.
And guys, it's so good when he's like, when he comes out of the door after he gets stabbed a bunch and we see him, he's all messed up. And Parker goes up to try to help him because he, sees, and she realizes that he's not walking. His feet are off the ground. And we see that he's puppeting him with that fucking flagpole or whatever it is.
Yeah. Do you think that would be possible?
I don't know, but it's cool as hell. I like it a lot.
It's
You're
cool.
strong enough, yeah, but you'd have to have a really good angle.
Really good.
Really strong.
But it's such a cool idea. I don't care if it's humanly possible. I loved it.
I don't care.
I was like, oh, and then it boom right through him.
I was so bummed. I was like, he couldn't do that.
I loved it. He goes through and I'm like, we're getting the slasher goodness.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And he slides down the pole.
Yeah.
So DJ's gone.
Yeah.
Our girls try to take off, but there's a flat tire. And
they slash the tires.
And they're trying, which wouldn't have stopped me if they wouldn't have wrecked. Yeah. But since they're stuck in the yard, they're just literally spinning the wheel. They could have probably I would have just kept driving if I wanted. I'd be like, I don't care what it does to this rim. Don't care. I'm out.
For sure, yeah. Or that truck probably had 4-wheel drive.
Yeah, but it
just put it in there,
just spinning on that flat tire. Nothing they could do. And then he throws a rock and breaks it out, and the chase is on,
which was awesome.
Yeah.
Seeing that shot of him throwing that rock was so cool. I honestly, that was like my favorite shot of the whole movie. I think
it's one of mine. It's a really good one. And the chase is on. What do you guys think about this chase scene?
It's freaking intense.
Clear up to Miri Fallen. That's where we'll go to. Clear up to Miri Fallen. What do you think of this?
It's intense.
It's excuse me. It's well choreographed. I will say this, like the highlight of this movie were like the fight scenes, the death scenes. The suspense is really good too. But these parts of this movie really excel. They do a great job.
Yeah, I love the scene where they trek upstairs and they're trapped in the attic essentially, and she has to bust the window out. It's so good because they knock him down and then shut the door and then slam out the windows, and then that's when Miri gets hit and falls down. And dude, she hits hard. I was like,
Yeah, she does.
Is she
Yeah.
dead? Like, I mean,
That's what I thought too.
I was like, God, there's no way she can be because there's only like 3 characters in this movie, and we have got a
Right.
long time left. So she hits the deck, and then freaking we get the kitchen scene. What do you guys think of this kitchen fight? Because I love it.
It's good.
I love that she pummels his face
Oh man, how messed
into
up.
oblivion.
Dude, and that was with a like an ice bucket or something.
Yeah. And the fact is, usually in these movies, she hits him a couple times, and you're like, "Oh, still." She just keeps fucking going until he's just not making any movement at all. I love that because it's a shock because you're just like,
Because you don't see that in movies.
yeah, and you're like, she got the killer. Where's this gonna go next? And that's when we see the second one coming to the house.
Then another one walks in the door, and you're like, wait, what?
See, and
Who are these people?
Yeah, until he started like kind of like breaking down and crying. I was
Yeah.
like, this is totally like some frat kids like going on a massacre. But then when he
Right.
started like, going crazy, like this person just died, I'm like, I wouldn't care about my frat brother that much. These people are related in some way.
That's a good point.
Yeah, I didn't know who. I still at this point had no idea who the killer was. Like, I mean, I didn't even have an inkling the first time I watched it. I was just, like I said, along for the ride.
Mhm.
Mhm.
So I just was, kind of like, okay, whatever. And we get this great chase scene where Miri is, she's like, Miri's laying there. She goes over to her and tells her to play dead because her leg's broken. The killer goes up and is like right above her, and she like kind of makes a noise, and he goes down to like basically see if she's still alive and to finish it off. And Parker takes off so that way it distracts him from her, or she throws a rock and it distracts him, and then she takes off. And then we get my favorite scene of this movie, guys. This is my favorite scene is when she gets on the raft and she pushes out and he's underneath the raft.
Yeah.
What a phenomenal set piece. The first time I watched it, even this time when I watched it, I'm like, that is fucking, I love that. That's something I would have done. Like, I'm like, that's such a, because she's kind of stuck.
Yeah.
And the
killer has the entire advantage.
Yeah, because he can see her through the slits.
See her, and
she
can't see him.
Breathed under there. He's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Such a good. What do you guys think of this bit?
I mean, really, the thing that I couldn't stop noticing was her performance on this.
Yeah.
She is nailing it.
Yeah, she's great.
She's so scared and she's crawling around in a circle. Like, that's the only thing you can do. And that is so scary.
Yeah.
She was just alone in the scene practically. It's so good.
Yeah, it's a great performance. What do you think, Derek?
Yeah, no, the scene definitely. So I'm gonna tell you like my fan version and then my like the way my mind works. But so like as a fan, you're like, oh no, this is so when she shoves off and she's like broken away, I'm like, she's gonna get away.
She wins. Yeah,
I was like, that's a terrible idea.
And then
I would never
then when
do
he
that.
starts, and then when he starts stabbing from underneath, I'm like, man, this is great. I can't, this is a really great setup for a good either she's gonna die or
it's a great set piece. It's a really great set piece.
And then this is where my mind starts kicking in. I'm like, man, have you ever been in water wearing clothes, like actual clothes? It's really hard to swim.
Mm-hmm.
Especially like because he's in a full thing and she's got a sweatshirt. So when she jumps into the water and starts swimming, like, man, that's tough. But anyway, so she jumps into the water and she starts swimming because she's trying to get
because at that point
that
he pulls up.
Yeah.
Off, starts to climb up the raft. So once he boards the raft, she flees.
Yep.
Gets out of there. And yes, goes the neighbors. What do you guys think of this neighbor
Her
scene?
hand gets stabbed through.
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
Yes,
because he can see it and he just stabs it.
Oh,
horrible.
And so when she goes and hides in the neighbors, she leaves a big bloody print on the window, so he knows where she is. What do you guys think of this neighbor scene?
It's so unfortunate.
It is. It's sad for that poor neighbor.
But
great for us.
Yeah.
It is, yeah.
Because it adds to the body
gives
count.
two shits, man. He's about to shoot this little girl that's in his house, and luckily she knows his daughter. She like breaks.
They grew up together. Yeah.
Yeah, his train of thought by saying her name, and he's like, "Wait, what?" Then he starts to like think, "Oh, because she's like, we used to go tubing and all this stuff," but then he does the cardinal sin. Obviously, there's this person who is in distress. She's bleeding. She's like as panicked as someone can be, and he's just like, "Oh," and then he puts his gun down.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why would you do that?
He
Listen to
kind
what
of
she's trying to
lowers it.
say.
I don't think he puts it down a little. I think he holds it in his hand. He just lowers it.
I thought he put it like whenever.
No, I think he holds it because the killer takes it from him.
Yeah, either way.
Yeah.
Definitely
So he
relaxed.
lowers it, and because he says, "Come on," and then when as soon as he turns around, his throat slit.
Yeah, I thought he like put it to the side, like against the wall. But
No,
anyway.
I think he lowers it like this, and then
No, you're probably right because it happened.
Yeah,
pretty quick. Because as soon as he turns around,
yeah. Because when he comes up, he has
he gets perished.
He has it in his hand. He's like, "Oh," and then the killer takes it from him and blows a hole in the door. And I'm like, luckily it's a double barrel, so it only has 2 shots, so he doesn't like have able to go ham on her. But she escapes, and the chase is still on.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, while this is going on, Miri has awakened and has crawled herself into the kitchen and makes a splint.
Mm-hmm.
When she got out that like mechanical knife and she like starts cutting the wood, I'm like, at first I'm like, what the fuck is she doing? And then obviously you see she made a splint. I'm like, oh yeah, she would.
Yeah.
How long do you think it would take to cut
A
through
long time.
a stool leg?
Well, yeah,
with
who
a
knows?
turkey carver.
Depends on how good those turkey carvers are. Some of them are pretty good.
But you
it's
knew that there was going to be a resurgence with this guy because the way that
it kept showing him. Yeah.
They put him in the shot.
Yes,
so
they did. They did. You definitely
They
saw
kept
it
looking
coming.
at him.
But the great part about it is they flip our expectations on it, because when he comes back, you're expecting there to be a big struggle and everything. Instead, he comes back and he immediately just gets stabbed in the throat and he's dead again. Like, so they give us a scare, but then it's like, don't worry about him. He's got the fuck beat out of his face already. He's done. So just go ahead and end him. I love that she makes the splint. I think it's really cool that she uses saran wrap to wrap it.
No,
I think that's fun.
I completely agree. I think that that adds to her character and her resourcefulness and her knowledge, and yeah, so I'd like it a lot.
And so while this is going on, Parker is in a fight with the killer. She gets him into they fight into the street, and then she ends up beating him up with a fucking branch. Fucks him up pretty good. And she sees a car coming, so she goes to get help. And inside the car is this woman. First thoughts on this scene when you see this?
I was like, she looks familiar. That was my thought.
What do you think, Derek?
She did, yeah, that she did look familiar, but I was like, man, as soon as I get in this car, I might kill her.
So what's great is, did you guys think that she was a part of it?
No.
Or did you think she was going to be just another victim?
I just thought she was just like, I thought that she was like the wife of the guy who just got murdered, the neighbor.
And thought that the killer was going to kill her?
Yeah. Or, something along those lines.
Because I thought she looked familiar, I was like suspicious for sure. But like I said, I was suspicious of the main character still.
Yeah. So
were you like, there's a mailman in the background? It's probably the killer.
He's probably waving like this.
Me and Jake were so suspicious of everyone. Yeah. That Jake, when the girl at the beginning of the movie, the girl's taking a selfie, and Jake was like, who's in the background of this? We were so suspicious the whole time.
So
it took me 4 hours because you kept rewinding it.
Yeah, we did. We literally did rewind that scene. I'm not even kidding.
So she tells her to put on her mask before she gets in, and she's like, I have a spare. She puts it on, and it's full of chloroform and knocks her out.
Yeah.
So when she's like getting in and she's like making this big deal about the mask, I was like, she's involved. I knew, just instinctively, I knew. I was like, she's involved. I didn't know who they were still, but I was like, she's somehow involved. So she passes out, and then we get our Scream like villain exposition scene, which we need in these movies so we know what the fuck's going on. This is a really good one, by the way. This is a really good exposition dump scene because
It really is.
very interesting and it's very fun.
And it's original. I feel
It's very original. What do you guys think of this motive?
There's not enough responsibility, personal responsibility.
Well,
It's these
absolutely. They're
stupid-
crazy. Yeah.
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 Do we want to just disclose it?
Well, yeah.
ahead.
So at this point, what do we find out?
So we find out. Lydia, do you want to take this? I don't want to.
No, go ahead. You got it.
All right. So we find out that Benji is their son.
Yes.
And the reason why he ghosted her was he died in the
Yes.
hospital because it turns out that she was asymptomatic with COVID and she had passed it on to him at this party when they made out. And then the lady starts reading off all the hashtags, you know.
He does. The dad does.
The dad does, yeah. Because it turns out that these people were Benji's family and they're seeking revenge because she didn't know, which, by the way, like the timing of this, because I went back and looked it up. So in April of that year, 2020,
Yes.
like, in order to have a testing kit, because she tests her,
Yeah.
Mhm.
you had to be like a medical professional because they didn't have
Yeah.
Right.
kits for you
They
to
didn't.
just take home and test. And
Yeah.
and so like
I was thinking that too.
But
When
wouldn't
did she
she-
get one of those?
Yeah. But would make sense since she had the since she knows all of the numbers, the contact tracing, all that stuff.
oh yeah, because she like that's why they killed the dude at the beginning.
Yep. Because
It's
he
because he gave it to her.
he gave it to her because she had slept with him or been in contact with him. So yes, here's that's the motive. What do you guys think of it, first of all? Because I like it.
It's
I-
it's unique.
Yeah.
It's so original and it's so man, it's a little touchy, you know?
Yeah, it is. Because what's great about it is I like the fact that we find out that because she's like, I'm not sick. And they're like, you're asymptomatic, you're positive. So there's first that. And then what's great about it is that they are placing all the blame on her for her irresponsibility of going to this party with COVID, but placing none of the responsibility on her son for going to the party and making out with a girl.
Mhm.
Yeah.
He's completely innocent of all this in their warped minds. I understand
And-
you're dealing with grief, but obviously
man,
murdering
yeah,
people is not the way to go.
grief
It's not the way to go about it.
Stupidity. Yeah,
Yeah.
For sure. Well, and
Yeah.
like she even makes a sly comment like, well, where was his mask?
Yeah, where was his? She yells. Yeah. So throughout this scene, she keeps getting suffocated. That's
Yeah,
that's terrible.
for sure.
That's
The
scary.
worst.
That's
the
scary.
worst.
Yeah. Though I did say it would have been funny if she just poked a hole.
I know. I
It was
thinking
the thinnest
same thing.
bag.
Yeah,
That's exactly
but-
what you're supposed to do.
Like you could have
You're
stuck your
supposed to poke
tongue
a
through
hole.
that thing.
Yeah, but then they might have like beat her to death. Who knows? You know. So
And secretly, Mira
Miri
is Miri is like behind like the little
Island, kitchen
Yes,
island.
Island,
she's
yeah.
hiding. They don't know she's there. They think she's
and
dead.
He's on her laptop trying to message everybody like, "Hey, somebody help!"
Yeah, so she tries 911 and it doesn't go through. So
Yeah.
then she tries her dad,
Tries
and
her
I think
dad.
that one went through. The dad one went through.
It did, yeah, because at the end
The police
were-
arrive.
Yeah,
So
but they see that the router is functioning and that somebody's on it. And
Which
I don't.
I was
You wouldn't notice that.
yeah,
shit.
I was like, that was just there to add suspense. That's
It was
that
100.
and it
He was
does.
like,
It does add
"Someone's
suspense. It
using
does
the
its job.
internet."
Yeah.
That's
Because
what
that
he
could
says.
be
Someone's using the internet.
anything, man. They could have
Yeah.
like started a big download of a video game that they were going to eventually play that was taken out. I mean, there's no way that he would jump to that conclusion. But that is
Yeah.
what it is.
Yeah,
I
like
thought
I
the same
said,
thing.
it's there to create suspense, and it works. It does its job.
Yeah.
Because then you're like, she's got to get this out. Now they're going to know that she's around, and they rip the router out. And then he leaves to go find Mary because he's like, she's dead. He goes out there, she's gone. He's pissed off, walking around the whole place looking for her. While he's doing that, the mom goes up and grabs that turkey carver.
Mm-hmm.
And Parker's performance in this scene is amazing. First of all, let's just say that her throughout the whole scene is amazing. But when she looks up and she sees Mary, her reaction is like perfect. She goes, looks back down, then looks back up at her to try to coax her back to her.
Mm-hmm.
It's so great. It's so subtle. And then she says, she's like, what are you going to do? How are you going to get away with this? Your DNA's everywhere, blood, fingerprints. Your son's dead.
Your son is right there.
And then she's like, well, a careless college girls start fires all the time. And I love Miri is sneaking up behind her. I thought for sure she was going to turn around. Didn't you? When she's sneaking up on her?
Yeah.
I thought for sure she was going to turn around. But she doesn't, and she gets fucking clocked with that bottle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she does.
And then thrown out the window. Did you catch her name, by the way?
What was her name?
Pamela. Yeah.
Anderson?
Who's another famous Pamela who goes on a killing spree because their son died?
Oh. Pamela Voorhees.
Pamela Voorhees, right.
Holy
It's a
cow.
little Easter egg.
Nice.
It's good. It's a good one.
Nice.
Now we just have to see if this one comes back from the grave. So the dad comes back in. The dad comes back in, and that's when we find out because he said, Pamela? He's looking for her, and he sees the blood trail. This shot is actually excellent because we see a shot of, we pan down, we see the antlers on the ground, and we follow the blood trail. Mm-hmm. So it's just putting in our heads that antler is there.
The antlers are definitely there.
Yeah, they're there. The antlers are there.
Big elk antlers. Okay?
Yeah, big ass elk antlers from earlier in the movie when DJ fought the guy. So we get this chase scene up the stairs. What do you guys think of this? What do you think of how they dispatched the father?
By throwing him off the stairs and impaling him?
First they fucking cut his Achilles tendon.
Oh yeah,
with the turkey cutter. Then they spray him in the face with the Lysol.
Yes, the Lysol. Oh my gosh.
Then push him over, and he gets impaled on those.
Dude, that looked great.
It did look really good.
Holy cow!
It did.
That
I would love to know how they got. Man, I'm gonna mess her name up again. Miri. Like when she fell and hit because it sounded hard.
Yeah, that's all sound effects, man.
Those are
probably a Fermi pad under there, but that fucking sound effect sold it.
It definitely did. But yeah, and then he's like he rocked a little bit on the antlers. It looked really good.
He looks up and sees them, and he sees these girls that he was trying to kill as this last image.
Yeah, they're like both standing there like
badasses. Love it. Yeah, I was like, did you guys think Pamela was dead?
No.
They're never dead.
We knew they'd come back for one last scare.
Oh yeah, we knew. We already knew.
I love her death. I
was worried that they were going to kill off Parker. I was worried that they were going to kill off one of the girls during the ending. And yeah, her death, Derek. Talk about it.
Pam's?
Yeah, talk about the whole scene.
So they're because the cars don't work. They're out in the shed trying to get the look like a
golf cart almost, right?
Yeah, and you can find these things. They're like souped up golf carts, and people drive them around the neighborhoods and
like a gator or something.
Yeah, something like that.
We have an electric one at the lake, Lydia. That we drive around on sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
So they're trying to get this thing started, and she's like looking for fuel and gets a gas tank, and then in comes Pam with her axe.
Yeah,
trying to kill him, and she, punctures a hole in this gas tank, and she's getting gas on her, and so eventually, Miri,
you got it,
lights her ass on fire. That is really good. I love that.
I do too.
She's like running.
It's a great fire stunt. It's a great fire
stunt. Great fire stunt. Best fire stunt of the year.
the way they played it too, the way they shot it and played it is really great because she's like gets engulfed in flames, then she's just running down the street, and then boom, dead, like
Perfect.
done, just
Fire
on
stunt.
fire. As the police pull up, and our heroes stand there, they walk out, and then they hold hands while the police are coming, and we're out.
Yep.
What do you think of the ending?
Guys, I'm a sucker for a good fire stunt. This
Yeah.
one was really nice, really simple.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
set it up too because she was like, she had already said that the fire was going to be involved. You know?
Yes.
So I thought that was fitting. It was
Yeah.
fitting, and it was just so clean and nice.
Very clean. The whole movie
Nice.
is clean. That's the
It
best way to describe it. It's like shot really well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No complaints.
No fat on it either. No fat on this movie. Just blow right through. And that is sick. So, what are your guys' thoughts? What are you thinking? How are you feeling about this movie?
Triggered.
Triggered.
No, I really liked it. I really did like it. I think it's so interesting. Besides the fact that it's just a really good movie, it's super interesting that it is based on this event that the whole world went through.
Yeah. It's very interesting.
It's like real time, relatable, kind of, like it's just so strange and unique in that way.
Yeah. Imagine watching this 10 years from now, when we have even more, hopefully more perspective and more of this disease just being in more of the rear view.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully we haven't ran into another one by that point. But,
right.
Just that we lived through this once in a generation kind of event that happens like once every 100 years. And we were like smack dab in the middle of it.
Mm-hmm.
And then they based the slasher movie off of it. What do you think, Derek?
So this movie gets an A+ for the kills. I think all of them work real well. I love the chase scenes. Like everything's choreographed really well. The setting is great, and they're isolated. The only thing that I have is like their motivation, and only because like I can't think of being that nuts and that like.
Well, think about the Billy Loomis's motivation real fast.
I mean, yeah,
it's the same. Yeah, it's you can't put yourself in that situation. Yeah.
I mean, what his motivation was that her mom is the reason why her parents broke up.
Yeah.
Or his parents broke up.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
actually, pretty fucking weak. Pretty weak sauce.
It is pretty weak, but like, there's literally no accountability that they assign to their son.
That's because they're crazy. Yeah.
And they are definitely crazy for sure.
And it's maybe not just that they're crazy, but that this is happening and everyone was losing their shit. It's kind of like that. It's like everyone went a little mad,
Yeah. And
they just went a little more mad.
And they are suffering grief.
Sometimes
they are also suffering grief.
Yeah.
Their youngest son, their college-age son, is dead because of, and they know in their hearts of hearts that it was his fault that he went to this, but they need to blame somebody, right? You have to blame somebody.
Yeah.
So they just decide to blame the person that gave it to him, and go on a killing spree. Which I'm sure there's people that have been angry enough to want to do something like that. When it comes to the carelessness especially at the beginning of the pandemic, when we were hearing about these kind of COVID parties. Remember this?
Yeah.
Also, people were licking toilet bowls, which is disgusting, regardless if there's a pandemic. What the fuck is wrong with you people?
Yeah. Seriously, it's so nasty. Like just in general. I think those people just do that kind of stuff anyways, I think,
I know, people are messed up, man. There's messed up people. There's messed up people is the moral of the story.
Have you ever seen that video of that little girl? I think she might be at an airport, and she's just like looking, like going down the thing of a handrail, just looking at. Anyway, I sometimes do think we're doomed as a species.
Yeah, idiocracy happening in real life.
It is.
So, what do you guys think? of Sick? Who wants to go first? You want me to go first again this week?
Yeah, maybe. I'll base my answer off of yours.
Okay, well, I'm going to give Sick a solid 7, maybe even an 8. It's almost an 8 because this movie, it does everything that I wanted it to do. It doesn't overstay its welcome. It's like a tight 88 minutes, probably. Yeah, 83 minutes. A tight 83 minutes. You know my rule when it comes to slashers, unless it's directed by like Wes Craven or John Carpenter. My rule is a fast under 88 minutes, right? Mm-hmm. So it's a fast 83 minutes. It pulls no punches. It's funny. It's fun. It's exciting. It's well shot. Wonderfully acted by the entire cast. Everybody does a great job. And it's just a studio crowd pleaser, just like last week's, but even more so. It's a crowd pleaser because it's just, you go through the journey. Me personally, I went through the journey. I left happy. Like, yeah. And some of those set pieces are just like kick ass. That raft scene puts it over the top for me because I remember watching it and I was like, what a great set piece. It's like, I wish I would have thought of that one first. We have a lake and we have rafts. Damn it.
Damn it.
So now we can't use it because they're going to be like, oh, you guys totally stole that from Sick.
Right, especially after they watch this episode and know my love of it.
Yeah.
So I'm going to 7.5 for me. 7.5. Nearly an 8.
I'm going to give it an 8.
Yeah, Lydia, I'm almost there with you. Yeah.
No, I think I really have no complaints. I think this was a really solid movie. Like you said, it went by quick. Mm-hmm. It was entertaining. Wasn't too long. You know, the performances were amazing. It's just got a unique kind of perspective that is kind of personal to everyone at this point. So
and it's tight. It's tight. And
it really is.
Yeah.
It's a nice, clean horror movie.
Yeah. What do you think, Derek?
So I'm probably going to give this movie, I think it would deserve a 7. I really love the kills. I really love the way they set everything up, you know, and I don't know. And I'm kind of curious, like I've worked a lot this week. And so even when I was watching this, I was working. So my mind was in more of an analytical perspective anyway. So maybe that's the reason why I like focused in on the things that I did, but no, it definitely deserves a 7. They did a great job in the kills, and also the makeup, like all the special effects, like A+ for everything that they did in regards to that. So it's a solid movie.
Yeah, you know what, Lydia? I'm gonna give it an 8. You've talked me into it.
All right, yes.
This movie gets an 8. Yeah, I like it, man. I thought as soon as I saw it, I was like, guys, we've got to do this. Is the best slasher movie I've seen in a while. Like new slasher movie. I think it's the best new slasher movie for sure because it gives us everything we wanted, right?
Yeah,
everything we want in a slasher movie. This is like the type of movie we would make, which is why I was
thinking that. Yeah.
Which is why I liked it so much. I was like, this is like
it's
from
right
my mind.
alley.
Yeah. This is like right from my heart and mind. Like this kind of just tight, contained. We would have had a higher body count for sure.
Yeah, it's just really smart too.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's definitely better to have less people because then you have less cast and such, and the kills are still satisfying. But you know,
it does make our job a little harder when we get to the next segment.
It will. It's going to be real hard. Yeah. So now that we've discussed it, it's time to do what we do every week, which is Atkinize this movie.
Thrill me. Thrill me. Thrill me. Thrill me. Thrill me.
Detective, thrill me.
Who would Tom Atkins play in Sick? There's kind of only one character he can play. 2 characters he could play.
So
the dad.
If we're talking today, if he were to be in this movie, he could totally be the neighbor, even though he's like in it for just a second.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But
a little cameo would be nice.
If he were younger, if we're like de-aging him.
You know, it's any era. Tom Atkins, yeah.
Yeah, he could definitely be Benji, just making out with chicks at parties.
That's true. He could be that.
And he would definitely survive COVID.
Yeah, that would be no issue for him.
But the dad,
sure.
He'd
play the dad. That's who he'd be. He'd be great in that role too. He'd be really good in it.
It'd be hard to see him get impaled like that, though.
That would be true, but it'd be a banger of a way to go out, because that's a great bit. I loved that when he falls. I was like, "Ah, yeah!" cheering. You know, this is great. So that was Sick, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm glad you guys liked it too. I know it's a newer one, and so I picked two new ones. I picked Barbarian last time, then this one. And Lydia, it is your turn to pick. So are we going to stay in the past or the present? We can't go to the future.
We're going to go to 2016.
The past. I know that.
Recent past.
Fairly recent past.
I know what
I know what past and presents are.
We are going to do The Autopsy of Jane Doe.
The Autopsy of Jane Doe.
Ooh, have you guys not seen it?
I've never seen this movie.
Yes, I'm so glad.
I don't even know if I've ever heard of this movie.
Oh, I'm so excited now. Guys, this is a freaky one, okay? This one is spooky, and you guys, Derek, don't be working while you're watching it.
Wait a minute. I have seen this.
You've seen it?
Yes, but it's been since 2016.
So you don't remember?
No. I remember Brian Cox being in it and Emil Hirsch.
Yes.
I remember that much.
I will dedicate time.
Yeah.
Just this movie.
This is when you really gotta immerse yourself in, I feel like.
Autopsy of Jane Doe. Where is that streaming?
I think I originally watched it on Netflix, so I'm not sure if it's a Netflix original.
No, definitely not now. It looks like this is going to be one you have to rent.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It's worth it, guys. I promise.
Amazon. You can rent it on Amazon, the Roku channel, Apple TV, Google Sling TV, Amazon Prime. So yeah, this is one you have to rent.
Sorry.
Or buy. But it is The Autopsy of Jane Doe. So it's available on all those platforms. All right, guys. That is what we're watching next week. Is there anything else you want to talk about Sick before we leave it behind? Who's that director? Let's give the director's name. It's John Hyams, of course, who has done multiple films. He's the son of another famous filmmaker. And he is the director of all of the more current Van Damme movies, like Universal Soldier Regeneration. And he does a lot of newer action movies. Peter Hyams is his father, who directed Time Cop.
Oh, well, there you go. Well, I love that movie. That's like Van Damme's best movie, but
it is Van Damme's best movie.
So the lady, the mom.
Yes.
Every time I see her, the only thing I think of is Hung.
Oh, Hung. Yeah.
She's like his pimp.
Yes.
Oh, really?
Lack of a better word.
I recognize her from Lemony Snicket's A Series of Unfortunate Events with Jim Carrey, like the Jim Carrey one.
Yeah, the Jim Carrey one.
She was in that for like a moment. She was one of his little friends that are all freaky.
The other actors, I didn't recognize. Let's shout them out real fast. Let's also shout out the co-writer, Caitlin Crabb, who co-wrote this with co-wrote this with Kevin Williamson. We have Gideon Adlin plays Parker. Beth Million plays Miri. Dylan Sprayberry plays DJ. Joel Courtney is the Tyler. Mark Menchaca is Menchaca. That's his name. Mark Menchaca is the father, and then Jane Addams, of course, is the chick from Eternal Sunshine. It's the other one I remembered her from.
I just imagine like a applause soundtrack, like vague, just in the background while you're saying the names.
I'll put it in there. It's in there now. That's why you heard it, because it's always been in there. We don't do anything in post-production on this show. Everything's alive. All right, guys. Derek, do you have a story that's not one that you told us already at the beginning?
You know, it's hard to keep these. I don't have a diary where I'm like, oh yeah.
Do you diary?
Oh, I did read a diary one time. That
You should tell that story.
you should never do that. I got one. I
Okay.
got one.
All right.
All right. So when I was in high school, there's a couple parts to it. So when I was in high school, I was dating this girl, and it was like wintertime, and my sister and I had nothing to do, and I'm like, I wanted to go buy my girlfriend at the time a CD.
That's really dating us. Yeah.
Yeah, Brian McKnight back at one.
Wow. It's even more dating.
And so I was like, hey, you want to go for a ride? And so we took my mom's car, which she said I could drive.
Uh-huh.
We took my mom's car, and I just like didn't want to go home. I didn't want to go sit at home. So like we're out for a drive in the country, and I like take this. I know what path I'm supposed to go, but I'm like, hey, I wonder if this is a shortcut. And I'm like the king of like, I think I can get there without GPS. Even before GPS was like, I think I know where I'm going. And I turned off this road, and I was going 55. And right as you turn off this road is a set of railroad tracks. I ramped these railroad tracks and like really messed my mom's car up pretty bad. I felt terrible for this, but anywho, we got the battery connected. It like destroyed the wheel alignments and all this stuff. So this car was like pretty hit. Who was it? Matt Swavey and I took this car and went to Indiana Beach. And we spent like the entire day, and everything was fine, except on the way back, this monsoon just opened up and the heavens pissed all over us. That's an interesting way to say that. It rained really, really hard. But the thing about that was, because of what I had done earlier, the windshield wipers didn't work. And so, like, I pull over at a gas station that's, like, right outside of Indiana Beach, and I'm like, oh, my God, man, how are we going to get, like, it's pouring down rain. I can't see anything because my windshield wipers don't work. So I go to the back, and I, like, open up the trunk, and I'm looking in there, and I see an old pair of sneakers, of shoes. So I'm like, I got an idea. So I took out the laces, and I tied the laces to the top of my side windshield wiper. We tied the other one to Matt's passenger side windshield wiper. So we're driving down the down the highway like this. And it's totally working.
Oh my gosh. That is insane.
It was quite the sight, but it was working. And then like I got tired of doing that, so I put on a pair of safety goggles. I stuck my head out the window, and I'm like trying to do that. It hurt so bad. It was like little needles like pricking in the face.
Yeah.
Doing that. Yeah. So yeah, we eventually got home like 4 hours later from Monticello to Peru, which is not a 4-hour drive.
No, it's an hour drive, hour and a half, maybe. Right?
But yeah, yeah, we definitely we had a little bit of an adventure that night. But
that's great. That's a great one. I love
saved my life.
I've always loved the image of you guys each just pulling on a just pulling like just getting it in sync.
Yeah,
you're driving. So funny. I have not like a story like that, but I forgot it now. I really literally just had a story and now it's gone. It's talking about the drive. I don't know. It's gone. I'll think of it later. That's a great one. I always loved that story, Derek. The image of you guys driving down is hilarious. Did you have any rain stories, Lydia?
Oh, I got plenty of rain stories. Well, the first one that comes to my mind is one time me and my dad went disc golfing.
Uh-huh.
And it's perfectly sunny day. I got like a camera and like all of my electronics were in my pocket. You know, 3 different electronics in my pocket, and just monsoon out of nowhere hits us. And I have never seen rain, just been in the woods while it's just monsooning like this. So we are completely drenched. Okay. And we get up to like a shelter house finally. It's like I felt like we were in like Jurassic Park. Like it felt like dinosaurs were about to start coming out of the woods. It was so movie like. It was so raining, so heavy. We get up to like this like little shelter. And I look down and my legs are like completely blue. Like I'm wearing like, these blue shorts, like jean shorts. And my legs are like completely blue. And I was like, what is going on? And I looked down and all the dye from my shorts was running down my legs like nasty blue veins. And like I'm just trying to save my electronics. I got discs, like holding discs over my pockets so that my pockets would stay dry.
That's great.
It was a blast. I mean, luckily it wasn't like cold, you know, it was like a nice summer rain, but it was very heavy.
I remember what the story I was going to tell. So it's 2006. Actually, it's 2007. Like February of 2007. The reason I know this is because the Colts were about to play in the Super Bowl, right? And Jimmy and I went and drove to Muncie to visit you, Derek. We drove. Jimmy had this little Ranger, this little blue truck. And so we drove down to Muncie to visit Derek for the weekend. And we were down there and stayed the weekend. We had a good time. We probably got into some mischief that we'll talk about another time.
Oh, my God.
But that night, Jimmy and I are on our way back. And we want to make it back. And the Super Bowl, I think, was either that week or, you know, the following week, or it wasn't that Sunday. I think it was the following week. So, because there was a week in between, you know, the Super Bowl or the AFC Championship game and the Super Bowl. So we're like, yeah, you know, we're excited. So that's when we went and visited Derek. Well, we're driving back from Muncie and to Peru. All of a sudden, Jimmy's car starts puttering. His truck starts puttering. Well, the alternator's going out on it.
Oh no.
And the battery's draining. So we have to drive without headlights.
Oh no.
Oh, good.
We have to drive without headlights. Jimmy just has to turn them on and flash them and then turn them off. And we're like, oh my God, please just let us get home. Please just let us. And we're like, just let us get to Kokomo, at least to Kokomo. Because if we get into Kokomo, we can call people to come and pick us up, right? We can figure it out. So we're literally driving down the road without these headlights and the car puttering. And we're like praying to the gods. We're like, please, please, just let us make it to Walmart and the Colts to win the Super Bowl. Just like there's only two things we want. We want to get home, but also if it comes down between that and the Super Bowl, we'll pick the Super Bowl because we'll find a way home. We really wanted this Super Bowl win. And so we make it just into Walmart, like off Markland. We just pull into Walmart. As soon as we pull into Walmart, the car dies.
Wow.
We're done. So Jimmy called one of his buddies, one of his friends, and she came to pick us up. And she picked us up. We made it home. Everything was fine. Jimmy had to go get his car towed the next day, replace the alternator. Funny story, that truck ended up eventually blowing up. Like, just caught fire.
What?
Yeah, caught fire one time when he was driving it. He's like, yeah, the Ranger blew up. I was like, what? You know, Jimmy's just
like,
nonchalant.
Actually blew up.
Like, actually just caught fire. Yeah. So tune in next week when we will review the autopsy of Jane Doe. Thank you for watching Sick with us. Leave a comment down below on what your opinion on this movie was. Also, give us ideas of what movies you want us to do in the future. And just anything in general. You know, what movie would you like us to make next? I mean, we're probably not going to do that. But if you want, you can comment that. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe to help the channel grow. Also, you can follow us online at HiLa Productions. You can follow us on Instagram at Screen Bloody Movies. You can follow us on Facebook at HiLa Productions, and you can follow us each on Twitter. Follow Lydia at Lydia Spooky. Follow Derek at DDoglyMaster, and you can follow me at Racket.
And you can follow me on TikTok at Lydia Spooky Sprouts.
There you go. Follow her on TikTok, which we'll leave a description here, a link so you can watch her dance video.
Oh, please don't. It's so embarrassing. I'm going to take it down.
No, don't do it.
I'm
until
so
I get on
embarrassed.
there. I want to take a look at it.
I'm going to take it down. It's gone. So with that, thank you for joining us this week, and we will see you next week, guys. So for Derek Lemaster and Lydia Judy, I'm Jamie Hyles. Remember, if you're going to scream bloody movies. Good night, guys.